Hi, this is Greg Kihlstrom. Welcome to the Agile World podcast, where we discuss customer experience, employee experience, and transformation in an agile age. The Agile World podcast is brought to you by TEKsystems, an industry leader in full-stack technology services, talent services, and real-world application. For more information, go to TEKsystems.com. To read more about the topics discussed on this show, you can go to my website at theagile.world and read my latest articles or get a copy of my latest book, The Center of Experience, a blueprint for creating an experience-led organization, now available on Amazon and other retailers. My name is Greg Kihlstrom, and I'm the host of the Agile World podcast. I'm excited to introduce part 2 of a special 3-part series about how the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted ways of working and how enterprises are leveraging cloud technologies to build resiliency, brought to you by TEKsystems, an industry leader in full-stack technology services, talent services, and real-world application. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of having a cloud-first mindset, and we'll discuss leadership's critical role in driving a culture that embraces change. To help me discuss this topic, I'd like to welcome the Vice President of Operations at OneStrategy, a TEKsystems global services company, Jennifer Doyle. First, why don't you tell me a little bit about your background and what you do at OneStrategy?
Hi, thanks, Greg. I have been with OneStrategy for the last 4 years, helping them develop the business out from when there was just about 10 of us to now we are a premier partner for AWS Web Services and have been working to build our partnership and very focused on being customer obsessed, as well as really driving the new innovation solutions for ourselves, focusing on machine learning, artificial intelligence, helping customers migrate to the cloud and really set up for using the best of AWS if they can.
Great. Well, looking forward to talking with you today. So let's start this episode by talking about a topic that seems to have gained even more traction during the pandemic, digital transformation. When we talk about digital transformation or becoming a digitally enabled organization, what does that mean to you?
To me, I would say digital transformation is really leveraging digital services such as AWS Cloud to meet your current business needs and setting yourself up for your future, your innovation, your ability to react to things such as the pandemic in a way where taking the burden of all the on-prem manual maintenance that comes with the traditional monolithic applications that organizations have been restricted by in the past, and instead allowing them to focus really on what makes them unique and being able to react very quickly and be more focused on what is their business drivers and the business values on their side, and instead of having to be kind of stuck in their organizational boundaries and barriers that they originally had before they're able to leverage services on a very quick capability through the cloud.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, yeah, it's certainly amazing to witness the pace of change and the acceleration we've seen during the pandemic. Let's talk a bit about these cloud-related technologies and the role a company's culture plays. What does it mean to have a cloud-first mindset, and how can organizations create a cloud-first mindset or culture?
I think the first thing for cloud first mindset is really prioritizing the cloud-based solutions and viewing them more as something that's natural and kind of the default choice instead of the hill you have to climb or the new thing that you're having to learn. A lot of the cloud services really allows you to concentrate on the aspects of business that define you and that make you unique and special and stand out among your competition instead of having to focus on just the basics. You can really optimize kind of your current state to be flexible and have that ability to grow and change as quickly as you need to. I think a lot of the point of cloud solutions is to remove technical debt and be mindful of setting yourself up for the future you want instead of the future you're stuck in because of a choice you made 10 years ago.
So along the lines of flexibility, how have organizations adjusted their cloud-related strategies as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic?
I think a lot more companies are being much more strategic and focused about where they're spending money. Their priorities have changed. Initiatives for growth are changing, and a lot more of the companies are focusing really on their core parts of what makes them their company, because a lot of it's about survival. There's a lot more focus, mission driven on flexibility and agility, security obviously is a huge one that everybody's talking about now that we're working in incredibly different environments. Before, we were so used to going into the office that had kind of just set standard security, but now we're trying to work from home, from personal computers, from spaces that were never prepared for the type of demand that we have put on them through what we're trying to do. We definitely have seen a lot of companies just doubling down on cloud strategies and being really successful on it, such as media companies are really expanding on their online content for strategies, and healthcare companies really adjusting to the demand for remote needs through healthcare. And I mean, we're decreasing so much on a lot of elective surgeries in healthcare, but the demand for COVID testing and on the hospitals and our ERs and ICUs are spiking so much. And that's one that a lot of industries that never before were thinking about cloud solutions are now being forced to, and using it really to be able to react so much to a very changing environment. A lot of priorities are to get out of the data centers, and organizations are being able to move to kind of more remote services where companies like AWS or Azure or GCP are allowing you to really just focus on what you need to be successful instead of being in person on that side. And so there's been a lot more of that adjustment on that side.
So taking a step beyond the near future, how can the cloud accelerate growth as organizations move beyond the pandemic?
I think a biggest theme after the pandemic will be change. There's so many companies that will be focused on how do they change to adapt to the world where we have broken so many of the ways that companies just always did business. And so it's going to be make or break for a lot of companies that have to adjust to this new way of doing business where remote work is going to be much more common, where there's going to be a lot of people really focused on being able to change really quickly, spin up solutions, and react to really unknown scenarios. I feel like this entire time during the pandemic has been those companies who are able to react really quickly have been doing really well. And a lot of the companies who have been not there yet, leveraging cloud services or setting up the ability to scale within minutes, has been trying to play catch up majority of the time. TEKsystems was in such a spot where they had such great experience in cloud services, they were able to spin up a new platform called Safe at X, where they can do contact tracing for people as they move back to in-person communities like work and school. And they were able to use cloud services to very quickly build such a platform and then deploy it to customers and businesses as they're going back to school or offices, and make that kind of a safer environment that before that was something that the pandemic created a need for. And now so many businesses are needing to adapt to new health standards using masks, such as like facial recognition. That was something that we never really thought of, but now with face masks, you can't even use your phone in public, where we're so used to the facial recognition. And now there's new ways that we have to do it to do the things that we had taken for granted beforehand.
Yeah. Well, given not every organization's at the same stage in cloud adoption, but I mean, it definitely sounds like it's the future, and at least a big part of the future for most, if not all, organizations. What tips or best practices do you have for organizations to consider on their cloud journey, or how do you recommend organizations future-proof their cloud investments?
I would really say focus on your business. You obviously are doing something that's unique, that is specialized, and let cloud providers take care of the rest. They're the ones who are running the data centers, so you don't have to, and you can focus on instead you. And so the biggest thing that I can think to tell people who are wanting to move into cloud or use some of the services is just do it. Uh, do try, learn. There's a reason AWS has tens of thousands of partners out there. It's because they specialize in cloud services, and they're there to help guide you and teach you how to use it and catch you if you fail. TEKsystems and OneStrategy are some of those partners that have very specifically developed capabilities to help customers just be able to try and to learn and be that lifeline or coach on when you're wanting to optimize using those cloud services so that it's not this daunting task, but instead a kind of new and exciting ability to grow your business into the future of what you want it to be.
Yeah, to follow on that, what again, since not every organization is as far along as others, what are some of the common, let's call it common roadblocks or or issues that are holding some organizations back from more adoption, and how do you work with those companies to kind of show them the way, so to speak?
I would say some of the biggest things that I see over and over again are really company culture or the kind of fear of the unknown or fear of giving up something that has been developed for so long. I know a lot of people have been working in data centers in on-prem sort of services for so long that moving to the cloud is a lot of unknowns. And so the biggest one is having just the business buy-in. Cloud services is no longer just the IT person who knows everything that's going on and the business is out of the loop on a lot of it. Cloud services makes it really easy for the business to understand how things are working and really have that buy-in from the executive and the leadership side. And so I think the biggest struggle that I've seen with customers is having this shift in thought that the technical side is not just for the IT, it's for everybody to be invested in and to be able to leverage and to be able to really use for the betterment of the business. And so some of the hardest roadblocks have been the people and the culture, but being able to just dive in and get educated on what it means and see that it is a fairly easy platform to use once you get set up has been some of the greatest things. Is we've had customers who swear they're what we politely call server huggers and will never leave their data centers. But and be able to just play around in AWS for a little bit and see kind of what it is. And we've had one great customer who came back and was so excited to say that he got his AWS certification because he now is moving their company to the cloud and he's so excited about it, where we never thought he would ever get out of the data center.
Oh, yeah, no, that's great. Well, I think we can all agree there's a lot of work ahead for organizations and still a lot of unknowns as organizations look to build resiliency and return to growth in the next normal. In your opinion, what is going to be a lasting legacy from the pandemic? Perhaps something that has either changed company culture or perhaps business operations for the better.
I think the big change will be it's going to be remote everything, schools, work, retail. It's been something that a lot of the traditional parts of our community have for so long always been in person. And now we're just with or without our desire stress testing what it's like to do all of those remote and some aspects of our life been able to try these new areas that maybe that's a better way of doing it and maybe it's not or maybe it's a hybrid of the two, but pretty much every aspect of our lives all across the world has been affected by the need to be remote, and now we're using cloud services and almost everybody has been using cloud services whether they know it or not. And so I think there's definitely the legacy for the pandemic is going to be this new remote world that we did not have before in areas that never would have considered it before. And so a lot of the importance is going to be on how do you adapt to it. We were really lucky at One Strategy that we have been completely remote for several years. And so we've been leveraging tools such as Slack and Zoom our entire existence. And it's one where Slack is kind of our office where we chit chat and have that ability to connect, which now people no longer have. You can't just run into the hallway when you are not seeing each other in person. And so this is going to be a really big change in our culture of how we connect with each other in a remote setting.
Yeah, yeah, definitely agree. Well, Jennifer, thanks so much for joining the show. For those listening, what's the best way for them to keep up with what you and One Strategy are doing in cloud space?
Yeah, of course. We have a really active blog and on our website, as well as case studies for some of the really cool engagements that we had with different companies, and also following us on LinkedIn and Twitter.
Great. Well, again, I'd like to thank Jennifer Doyle from One Strategy for joining the show. Learn more about TEKsystems and their perspective on the cloud at teksystems.com/version-next-now. I'm Greg Kihlstrom. Thanks for listening to The Agile World. See you next week. Thanks again for listening to the Agile World podcast, brought to you by TEKsystems. I'm your host, Greg Kihlstrom. You can learn more and get a copy of my latest book, The Center of Experience, from my website at theagile.world or on Amazon or other retailers. Until next week, stay agile.